We are now joined by Adam Lowy, who is Executive Director and founder of Move for Hunger. Good to see you, Adam.
Good to see you too, Steve.
Let everybody know what Move for Hunger is and why it matters so much.
So Move for Hunger is a national nonprofit organization that works to leverage transportation resources to rescue food and deliver it to food banks. We're working with more than 1,000 moving companies and 1,500 apartments across the U.S. and Canada, and collectively have fed over 17 million people.
It's interesting. You won you and your organization won the 2016 Russ Berrie Making a Difference Awards. And when I first read about the organization, I thought, wow, that's an innovative, creative idea. Did Adam Lowy come up with that? Did you?
Me and my family, I won't take full credit, but my family's had a moving company here in New Jersey for about 100 years. And we saw so many people throwing away food or leaving it behind when they moved that we started asking people if they wanted to donate it. And it turns out that if you make it really easy for people to take action, they will.
How great is the need? Describe it.
Pre-COVID, there were 37 million Americans that didn't have enough to eat. And as a result of this pandemic, we're expected to see the need increase by another 17 million Americans. So all the progress that we've seen in terms of food insecurity over the past decade have been more than wiped away. And while hunger continues to be a pressing problem for our country, food waste also is. A third of the food produced globally ends up in landfills, but here in the US, it's actually 40%. We're a pretty bad actor in terms of food waste. So to me, and to the work that our organization does, this is a lot about the logistics of getting food to where it needs to go and to help people in need before it reaches landfill.
Adam, why do we in our country, in the United States, waste more food than others?
It happens for a variety of reasons. It starts at the farm level when crops are growing, and sometimes it's just labor needs, being able to get that food harvested. Sometimes the cost doesn't make sense. Sometimes our government is subsidizing the wrong crops versus the right crops. Then you get to the grocery stores, and you've probably seen the shiny apple on the shelf, but you don't always see the dented apple or the one with the little blemish. That's because that food is thrown away or chopped to fit in some standard packaging. And then you get to the date labels, which say best by, used by, expires on, all kind of arbitrary dates that don't actually know when your food is going to waste. And then finally, in the home, in the restaurant, whether it's your portion size or you chop that pepper that you think you're going to use in a couple of days and you forget to freeze it. All of these things are costing people, companies, farmers money. And I think at the end of the day, what we're going to see is it makes sense to invest in ways to bring food loss to a minimum because it will actually raise the money we get to keep in our wallets, the money the farmers and the restaurants have. It makes good financial sense not to waste food. But more importantly, we don't want this food ending up in a landfill, creating greenhouse gases, which contribute to climate change.
You talked about how COVID has impacted the people you're serving every day. How has COVID impacted your organization as a nonprofit?
Yeah, like many organizations in March, we were worried, are we going to be able to keep our doors open and continue to work to meet the need? Many of our food banking partners here in New Jersey and all across the country are seeing 10 times, 20 times the need they ever have before. People are visiting food banks for the first time in their lives, and we don't really see that slowing down. We're very fortunate that a number of foundations here in New Jersey and across the country stepped in to help us not only have some breathing room, but to continue to be innovative and creative to tackle this problem. So we actually pivoted some of our operations, focusing less on food drives during this time and more on big bulk food recoveries and teaming up with gleaning organizations. So we've teamed up with some farms here. New Jersey Farmers Against Hunger has been a great organization we've been working with to rescue some food from. Russ Berrie has been, their foundation has put us in touch with a number of organizations locally across the state, but then working with big companies like Sodexo and Kraft, who might have a product that was going to expire, where we could actually collect truckloads of it and get it to a food bank before it gets thrown away. So it's been an interesting shift, but all while making sure we're able to continue to rescue food from people moving in and out of homes and apartments. So we're firing on all cylinders.
When Move for Hunger won the 2016, was one of the winners of the 2016 Russ Berrie Making a Difference Awards. Again, I just want to remind folks, if you're wondering what the series is about, 25 for 25. what is it? It's way more than a branding slogan. Over the past 25 years, in fact, since 1997, the Berrie Foundation has recognized 366 New Jerseyans who are making a huge difference. Over $3.5 million in cash awards from the Berrie Foundation, and Move for Hunger is one of them. When you won that award and you met all those other folks who were making a difference, largely in nonprofits, but individuals, just heroes, heroines. Do you remember that day?
It's hard to forget, because when you're in a room filled with that many inspiring people, your brain just starts racing, and like, for me, it was like, well, what else can I do? Like, these people were doing these incredible things. Why aren't I doing more? And while to some, it feels like the work that Move for Hunger is doing is also inspiring, but I know that there's still so much more that we need to do. And one note I will say about the Russell Berrie Foundation, which makes them stand out. I mean, we've really been blessed to work with a number of foundations, but Russell Berrie has been more than just giving a check to support our organization. They've been really good about following up, finding ways to connect the dots, to connect us to other individuals, other organizations, figuring out that sense of collaboration. Because when you're talking about issues as big as hunger and food waste and poverty, these aren't things that any single organization is going to be able to do on their own. It really does require some collaboration. And I just gotta shout out some love to the Russell Berrie Foundation, because they've really been able to help us connect some of those dots, especially during these really challenging times.
Before I let you go, food insecurity, hunger, a social justice issue, is it not?
Absolutely. Hunger is a symptom of poverty. And regardless of who you voted for, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't really matter. I mean, really what this comes down to is it's going to take all of our elected officials to think about poverty in a different way. We need to help rise people up out of poverty, get them to have living wages so that they can actually support themselves. People shouldn't have to visit a food bank. We shouldn't be celebrating that we fed that many more people this year. My goal is to eventually go out of business, which I know many food banks and pantries would like to do as well. But until then, we need to continue to advocate and put positive pressure on the system to move in that way to really help people help themselves.
Adam Lowy is Executive Director and founder of Move for Hunger, one of the 25 over 25 years of the Russ Berrie Making a Difference awards that we recognize. Adam, we thank you for joining us, but more importantly for the work you and your colleagues do every day. All the best.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.